don't feel like you have to do it yourself, because there are other people who, often for free, are just so excited about the same thing your child is excited about, that they want to do it, and sometimes for pay, and it's totally worth it, because then it's what they're passionate about, and they want to do it too, and they can help guide your child.
Great. All right, these lovely people drove through snow all the way from St. George. And so, do anyone have any burning questions for them at all about homeschooling? Because we do. We have one. Yes. Who you are? Would you like to hear more? What do you actually do? That's the question.
We help the youth understand who they are, to recognize the greatness that they have in themselves. And so that's why we call it Revolutionary Heroes. It's a personal revolution that we help them go through to stand up, to be heroes, to be amazing. They already are, right? They already have that great genius within them. They already are amazing, but we help them to see that in themselves. So we do that with classes or seminars and workshops, and we do it online, and we do it in person, just like here.
Same thing with families and with parents in parenting or homeschool, any kind of venue. But also, it's also called Revolutionary Heroes because of the looking at the heroes that were in the Revolutionary War times and looking to those people and things that they did and the qualities that they had, and seeing if there's things we want to emulate and incorporate into our lives. Just like in the youth thing today, we use the Declaration of Independence as an example of how the people who were writing the Declaration, they had not actually gained their independence when they wrote the Declaration of Independence, but they declared that they were independent, and that many times we need to declare first, this is who I'm going to be, and then we can become that, and that's what happened with our nation. So there's just kind of using that as a jumping off point and an analogy for our lives.
Okay. Right, we've done, this is what I call a round robin. Is anyone a bluegrass player for music? Yeah, what do you play? Fiddle. You play fiddle? Awesome. And so you know when we do, what's it called? When you play, right? Your jam session, everyone gets a turn. And I love that structure. So we're starting over with Brittany. So also think in your mind, as you know the mic's passing down, because we have a good another 20 minutes of this. What do you want to ask them? Because it's going to be their turn. Yeah, okay, so we've got some Brittany. Yes, go ahead. If you
Sorry. You just talked about having a character curriculum, and I guess you just have a really brief, pocket size where, how is a good place to start as far as looking at establishing a character curriculum for your family?
Yeah.
Just where's a good place to start?
So the question is about character curriculum. So we're going to go ahead and go with Brittany, and then we've got Stacy here. So we'll go to her after, okay?
So sorry.
It's okay. She's been enchanting us out in the hall, and she's joining us now. So this is for you, Brittany.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I talked today about developing a character curriculum for your kids. A lot of times we just focus on the academics. And we didn't have time to talk about how to develop a character curriculum because we said that there's three things. We have to train the body, the mind, and the spirit for character. And a lot of times we only focus on the mind, which is really easy to teach a kid what courage is. They instinctively already know it and they value it. But getting them from the brain to the heart, how do you be courageous, is different. So I wrote a book, Raising Children for Greatness. It's not out yet. It's going to be out this summer. But I talk about that in there. And it has to be kind of unique for every kid. And there's a lot of things that you can't purchase in a book curriculum because they're things you have to do outside. They're kind of like the labors of Hercules almost, but for your kids. And so it'll be different than just the book learning. That's part of it. We actually have a character curriculum for little kids. This is the book part, the mind part. And then we have some stuff on Blue Banner Academy, but I highly recommend that book because I go through each of the virtues: love, faith, honor, integrity, all those. And I have labors or things that your kids can actually do to develop those. I hope that helps.
I first met Britton. He's ironically from Idaho, but I met him in Utah. And
those three concepts, body, mind, and spirit, I needed to hear that when I did 2 years ago, when I started getting teary-eyed, because I had a 13-year-old who wasn't doing good, who I was homeschooling, and I really took to heart, because his character was on the line. And I was doing the spiritual, and we were doing the mind. He's 13, and he had so much testosterone pumping through him. We started hitting sports. Every day he goes on a 2-mile walk with his dog. His body was missing. It's such a simple formula, especially for your teenage boys. Britain nailed it on the head. So I just want to reiterate, it works. 2 years later, he's our agile player at this point, and his character has grown exponentially, and you know what was missing? It was the body. So think about that. If you especially got boys, doesn't matter if they're this big or this big. They need all three. And we want good boys with good character. All right, anyone have a question for Stacy? Yes.
When did you like sparkly things?
That's a great question. When did I like sparkly things? How about forever? But I think I probably embraced it just a few years ago. And I'm just going to do this. So the answer would be forever.
Oh, you think your shoes sparkle?
Well, of course.
Why? Let's take it a step further. Give us some depth. Why the sparkle? Why?
Why the sparkle? Well, because I feel like we are here to add light to the world. And so the sparkle, or the glitter, I wrote a book called The Glitter Keeper. That is all about sharing our light, sharing who we are, and not holding back. And I think too often we do hold back from who we are.
When we're talking about entrepreneurship and our children, especially our very young children, could you give some ideas of other things they can do other than making and selling or service? Are those the two options for young children, or is it more than that?
I think that entrepreneurship is based upon some core principles that you can start teaching when they're really, really young. You can start teaching them things like the difference between abundance and scarcity, even when they're 3, 4, and 5 years old. So you can start teaching basic principles of wealth and of money way before you start teaching about entrepreneurship. But specifically about entrepreneurship, if the core of entrepreneurship is the idea that you create something for someone else, and that other person values that. And so you can start them in a creation process way before you turn it into a business and ask them to start selling things. So getting them to look around them, identify problems like what annoys you, what do you hate about what's around you? Not hate, but what annoys you, what would you like to change? And then directing them to solve those problems. Say, oh, you don't like the fact that your cereal bowl spills so easily. Well, what can we do to solve that? Even a 4, 5, and 6-year-old could start to have some solutions of how to make their cereal bowl not tip over. That process later becomes so powerful when they go to start an actual business and start selling it to others. Because every business at the core is how do we solve a problem and how do we solve it better than anyone else. So teaching them that from the beginning is just a powerful way to get them on that course.
Thank you. I want to reiterate about Sparkle real quick. A gal who played beautiful violin that was part of my church, she once shared about letting your light shine. And when she went to university, they told her that specifically in her music courses. We've been commanded to let our light shine. So for you, it's Sparkle. For me, it's a double bass. Might be something else for you. All right, and then entrepreneurship. For me, when we make money, my kids get commission. 5%, and that's another way to do it. And we make family projects, and they figured out if they're cute, charismatic, happy, you get more gigs, you get more money, and you get more commission. So that's something that I don't think a lot of parents look at is commission. It works. Okay, so that's another idea too. So we are on to D. Does anyone have a question for her?
You had some questions over there that
Yeah.
never got answered. I know they're not for me, but there were some questions.
Yeah, we got them.
No,
Yes.
right there.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
My question is to you, actually. I was going to ask you about music because your family went to
have a couple questions about that. So my kids are classically trained. So they did, every one of them had a minimum of 6 years of violin with Suzuki. So we're in Caldwell. I can tell you more about that. At one point, talking about entrepreneurship was, do you want to know what started our entrepreneurship for our family? Is I was looking at all 4 of my kids. It took $1,600 that year for all 4 to go to this music camp for 4 or 5 days of instruction. $100. What is that? $100 per kid per day. And I didn't know who to pick, who to take. And I literally laid it to the stars, laid it to God, whatever you want to say, and we started busking, which you play on the street. And I had to give them commission because they're the ones who are earning the money. 5% is what we do, and then the rest of the money, can you believe we earned all $1,600 by the time we went to camp. And so the stars are the limit, okay? So there's all kinds. We also do bluegrass camps, and we can talk more about that. You know, right now we're going to Targhee, and Tech Truck's helping with that. So there's a lot of, it depends on the genre, and that's a big question. We usually do too many, about 3 or 4 a year. We do a lot of camps. So, all right, Dee, I have a question for you. If someone else, oh, Jennifer, yes.
So in your class, you talked about being moral as an example to teach your kids how to be vulnerable and making your home a safe space to teach your kids how to react appropriately to their siblings.
Did you hear that question? We repeat it.
All right, so how do you teach your children how to react appropriately to their siblings when they're being vulnerable? It starts with you. And you set up rules. You know, one thing is we don't call names. No name calling. That means none. Because when you name call, you're shaming. You're putting someone down. So you teach them what shame is. Shame is, I am the bad person. Okay? Guilt is, I did something bad. Sympathy is, oh, I feel for you. Empathy is, I feel with you. So when you start showing your kids through you how you show, your kids will start to catch on, and as you teach them all these different of what empathy, sympathy, shame, and guilt is, they'll start to learn also. But you have to set boundaries of what is okay in our home, what is not okay, and it's a process of teaching. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then take the other child aside and ask them, how did that make you feel? And so you ask them, how do you think your sibling felt when you said this? Guilt, shame, empathy, sympathy? How do you want to be treated? And some kids are different and they catch on, and then some kids, it takes them longer. But it starts with you and your husband setting the example in the home, if that helps.
Dee has handouts, and they were supposed to make it into the swag bag, but with her logistics of coming in from Washington, they didn't, so she's a lot on her table. Okay? To reiterate what she says, I love a program, or whatever you want to call it, a school of thought called Teaching Self-Government. It's from Nicole Peck. But if I were to chat with her, I would say teaching parents to govern themselves so that they can teach self-government. Is that pretty much where you're at?
Yeah, it's, you know, if your child...
If you're governing yourself.
Yeah, if your child... If we want our children to be something, it's not by us talking, it's by us doing. And so if you want your child to treat children around them nicely, then it starts with you. That means when you're with a friend and you come home and you're like, oh my gosh, she was so annoying. What is your child picking up? Oh my goodness, that person's annoying. And I can talk about how annoying they are around everybody. So it starts with you, and it's choosing to make those choices and watching how you say them.
Yeah, if I could. I have big thoughts about this. About
Like the mic to whom we can hear this.
I can project.
Okay, project.
So I have big feelings about this, and one of the things that I've learned when I've been talking with my siblings and when I've been talking with my parents is, if there is one thing that's super important about vulnerability, it is letting the other person know, I hear you, right? And I feel like, Calvin getting on a soapbox here, I feel like culturally, we don't do this enough for people. We don't give them room to talk. We don't give them room to express. We don't give them room to put themselves in uncomfortable positions. And I still have yet to experience any feeling more empowering, more gratifying, more loving than having someone come to me and say, hey, I hear you. I understand you. Maybe I don't agree, but I hear you. That means the world to a kid. Take it from a kid, right? So if there's one thing that I, obviously not being the expert that Dee is in this field, if there's one thing that I say, it's let other people know that you hear them, and give your children permission to hear each other.
Thank you, Calvin. Okay, that's profound. We're on to Miss Taya. Does anyone have a question for her? Oh, we do. Oh, you're like that. Perfect like that. No. What question do you have for Miss Taya? Oh, this is the question I ask myself when I look at my kids every day. Are you going to be like me, or are you going to be better, or are you going to be worse? What are you going to do, Taya?
It's a simple answer, yes. I used to have a different opinion. Probably, there was one time that I don't remember how old I was. I know I was younger than 11. But my mom came to me and my older sister, and she was like, are you guys going to homeschool your kids? And I was like, no. But yeah, I will now. I've benefited so much from homeschooling myself. I don't see how I could let them go to school. So, and it's what I know. So I think that I'm the expert from the other side, right? And so I can give that to my kids.
Right, pass that on to Calvin. Gotta answer the same question, Calvin.
Yeah.
Both their moms are listening to your speech.
I would say that even if my mom wasn't listening, yes. I definitely think that I want to. At the same time, one of the things, always tying back to what my mom has taught me about this sort of thing is, I have my expectations for what I would want my kids to do and to be. We all have those expectations for the people around us, but we can't force those expectations on anybody. So of course I would want to homeschool my kids because I think that it works. Obviously, here I am. But at the same time, if they want to make a different decision and they are informed enough to make that different decision, then that's something that I would of course want to take into account. But yeah.
Okay. All right.
We're going to do a total of 4 more questions because our time's running out. So we'll do these 3. And then if you have one burning question for a random person, okay? Be thinking, put your hand up. We're on to Melissa. Does anyone have a question for Melissa? Yes.
Okay, so as somebody who wasn't homeschooled, who's married to somebody who is, and when my wife talked to me about she wanted to homeschool, it was a big struggle for me to become okay with the idea at first. Now I'm fully on board. But I wasn't in your presentation, but I understand you talked about
The marriage homeschooling?
What would you say to somebody like me who really has no idea about homeschooling? I'm at work when my wife is at home homeschooling. What kind of things should I be doing to support her and to support my kids as they're doing?
Now you have just asked the golden question that every mother in this room went, did you hear? And you're going to give the golden answer.
No pressure. Okay, so I just want to clarify. You asked what advice would I give to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
What can I do to support her?
What can you do to support her? Okay. All right. A couple of things that I can think of. First, I would just want to say, and I said this in the past on the homeschooling marriage. We have demands on the modern marriage, even without homeschooling, that no marriages in history have never had before. Okay. women have, if they are at home and they're not working, they have less contact with other women because most of the other women are working in the neighborhood. So we expect marriages to do more than they've ever done before, and when you add homeschooling to that, it's a lot for both people. So one of the things that I'm going to give you 2 suggestions, okay? One is to ask questions and listen to the answer. That's suggestion 1. And the other one is to make sure that your wife has the opportunity to talk to other women. It could look like book club or coffee out with a friend or a homeschool conference. Yeah. Make sure that she is getting that, because you literally, as a man, cannot fill the need that she has to talk. And you shouldn't have to, right? But we kind of do, with the modern marriage, almost expect that. For the wives in the room, I know you didn't ask this, but for the wives in the room, paint a picture for your husband of what the homeschool day looks like and what you're hoping to achieve. Create that so that he can feel involved. So paint a picture with your words. Tell him what you're hoping to achieve and what you're struggling with. Not as, you can even say, hey, I don't expect you to solve this right now. Tell him that, because then he'll be like, oh yeah, I don't have to solve this. And keep him knowing what's going on with the kids and also what you're hoping to accomplish. Paint that picture with your words for him. And I know I just said men can't solve all the talking, but this you do talk about. Okay. I have so much more I could say, and Emma knows that I could keep talking all day long. So she needs to take mine.
You can talk to her later if you need more.
All right, talk to me later.
Yeah, we have an add-on. Yeah, there's for it.
So this is just, it's too close to the heart not to say something. So men, I want to speak directly to you for just a minute, because I think that the general consensus amongst all of us is that this is our wife's job. And a lot of times we have women that have book groups, they have support groups, and the men, we get left out a little bit. Let me say something really quickly. If you think about what your kids are facing right now in this world, it is unbelievable the challenges that they're going through. Unlike anything that we ever dealt with, unlike anything people 10 years ago had to deal with. And I feel so strongly that your kids need you to not only be involved with their homeschool, but being involved in every aspect. And homeschool, you guys, think about this. This is an incredible opportunity, unlike anything else you have in your life, to directly impact, influence, and help your kids. If they were going to public school, you would not have the same ability. And so I give you a challenge to be more involved. I would say if you want to really make an impact, then read the book, some of the books that they're reading, and talk to them about it, so that they see that it's not just mom, it's not just these homeschoolers doing this, but my dad is engaged as well. He's giving me these examples. He's showing me the way. I would also challenge you, there are things you can teach your kids that your wife will really struggle teaching. You have an opportunity to fill in gaps and holes that they will not be able to fill. They can't come here and find the curriculum that you guys can teach. And I know that's hard, I know it's challenging, I know you're out there every single day fighting to just support your family, but this is way more important, and you have an opportunity to be involved at a level that no one else does. It's incredible what you can do as a homeschool dad.
I just want to give a personal testimonial to that. It's actually my lovely 15-year-old who just peeked through the window. He was a slow reader. Does anyone have a reluctant reader in your home? And I did everything. I'm twitching about it and talking about it. There was no TV in our house. There was no internet. There was no video games. And we read. And we did it on our heads. We did it upside down. We did audiobooks. We did phonics. We did worksheets. And this was a reluctant reader, and he would not read. And he's like 11, and I was getting frustrated. I finally told my husband about it because I've been holding this on way too long. He goes, well, I'll read. It's the exact same thing. Exact same book. Took 2 weeks. Showing interest, 20 minutes before they went to bed. The kid won't put books down now. Dads are awesome. Okay? So if you ever get stuck, wanted to say thank you to dads. All right, we're over here to.
Can I say one more thing? Sorry.
All right, one more, and then we really need to finish up.
Dads are in charge of confidence in the home. So a dad being confident that his child can do something and that his wife can do something. Like, if you sit at the kitchen table and the wife says to the kid, I know you can do it, the kid does not listen. They don't care. Their mom's supposed to believe in them. But if a dad says, I know you can do it, suddenly the kid knows he can do it. So as a dad, take control of what you are confident about and actually communicate. Hey, I know this can happen in our lives, and I know you can do this, and it's enough.
Yeah. Like I said, I did 99% of the work. He took 1%. But man, what would it have looked like without a 1%? All right, we've got one more question. You guys kind of a couple, right? Is that all right? Because I promised we'll be on time, so I told my people in charge. One more question for them? Okay.
And it could be to them.
Okay. What is the question?
She said to make sure that you have time for yourself. And with so many children, what does that look like?
Is that okay, time-wise? Can I give it to you? How about you both? How about you both answer and then we're done with Hannah? Does that work? Okay.
I think it's a great question and a great thing that we have to remember. I think sometimes more women have to remember it more than men because we're so sort of service oriented often, and the men. Okay, we're just good. It is so. Our example to our children is the most important thing that we can give them, and so we need to be showing them that we love learning, that we have interests, that we have passion, that we have a mission, and that we love life, and that we love what we're doing. We love being a parent, and find something that is your genius to pursue, and in that, if it's that, then it will enhance everything in your life and in your family, because they're going to see that, and that will be contagious and catch on. And in nurturing your genius, you'll be inspiring them to find and nurture their genius.
So during the day.
Oh, okay, like when could it be? Yeah, it could be during the day, but I mean, sometimes it depends on your stage of life. There's been times in my life when, like, I really wanted to study some things, and I had multiple children, different ages. I was like, I can't think when they're all here, and so I'd wake up early and do it. But I would work really hard to find some time when I could share some little inspiring story or a little tidbit or a quote from something that I was studying, so that they knew that was happening. But it wasn't, it wasn't a force. It wasn't like, at 3 p.m. I'm going to share my little tidbit. It's like, it's just becomes a part of you, and that it just will seep out, and they'll know that it's there. But so ideally during the day, but sometimes it might have to be at 5 in the morning.
And then work with your husband to schedule time for you to have your own time.
And are you suggesting like once a week?
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
We go through and we schedule when is her time, and I take care of the family.
As you can see, I'm really bad at that.
Okay, so Stacy, you're going to wrap it up, and then we are done with the panel, okay? Okay, I'm glad you were going to let me talk about this, because I was sitting here going, I got to say something here. Okay, so when I talked about making sure you have time for you cannot give to your kids. There's so much expected of all of you. You can't give to them if you haven't given to you first. So we're all different. Some of us are going to need it every day. Some of us are going to need it once a week. No one can give you that magic answer. No one can. You're the only one who can decide what do you need to fill your own cup. So my suggestion is one, and I'm really glad there's some husbands in the room. Husbands, take your wife on a date every single week. It does not have to be expensive. A date can be going on a drive. A date can be going on a walk. A date can be anything. Once a week, you take that wife of yours out. Because she needs you to fill her up. Okay? That is huge. Wives, if your husbands aren't doing it, ask them. That's super, super important. That's one thing that you need to do. One, it will strengthen your marriage, which is vital, and you need to make sure that that comes before your children.
Because without your marriage being strong, your family won't be strong. Secondly, find friends you can switch with if your husband's not available all of the time to find the things that you need to do. Your time can be anything. It's just doing something that fills your heart up. So it could be with your kids right alongside of you. You don't have to leave them. You don't have to escape. Maybe you do need to sometimes. I'm not saying don't ever. Okay, so yeah, escape once in a while because it's good for you. And it's really good for your kids for you to be gone too. But it's just figuring out what you need. So maybe you need to paint a picture. Maybe you need to paint. Maybe you need to write. Maybe you need to exercise. Maybe you need to go outside for a walk. Whatever it is, find what that is that feeds you and do it. And the biggest part of that is don't feel guilty about it. Because remember, you can't give if you're empty. And moms run on empty far too often, and that's when they hit burnout, and that's when they want to give up, and that big yellow bus looks really tempting. You're like, March, let's go. We're going down the block. You're getting on that bus. That doesn't happen if you filled your heart up. Okay? So give to yourself, and you are the only one who can figure out what that looks like or how much time that means.
Can we give our panel a big round of applause?